Hello math learners! In this video, you are going to learn about categorical syllogism, moods, and forms of syllogism. So let's begin. What is a categorical syllogism? A categorical syllogism is an argument consisting of exactly three categorical propositions, two premises, and a conclusion, in which there appear a total of exactly three categorical terms, each of which is used exactly twice. So these are the following three categorical terms. First is the minor term. It is the term that must be used as the subject term of the conclusion of the syllogism. So its symbol is big letter S. Next is the major term. It is whatever is employed as the predicate term of its conclusion. The symbol is big letter P. And last is the middle term. It doesn't occur in the conclusion at all, but must be employed in somewhere in each of its premises. The function of the middle term is to unite or separate the major and the minor term. And this is the symbol for the middle term, big letter M. Now, since one of the premises of the syllogism must be a categorical proposition that affirms some relation between its middle and major terms, we call that the major premise of the syllogism. The other premise which links the middle and minor terms, we call that the minor premise. So there are two premises, the major premise and the minor premise of the categorical syllogism. Now let's have examples. Identify the major, minor, and the middle terms and the minor and major premises in the given categorical syllogism. So we are given this categorical syllogism, which is all delegates are elected PTA presidents. Mr. Lorenzo Bernardo is a delegate. Therefore, Mr. Lorenzo Bernardo is an elected PTA president. So first is we need to identify the conclusion. It's very easy to identify the conclusion because usually the conclusion is always the third sentence. So let's write the conclusion, which is Mr. Lorenzo Bernardo is an elected PTA president. Now let's identify the middle term. It is the term which doesn't occur in the conclusion. So that term is delegate. So the middle term is the word delegate. Next, let's identify the major term. The major term is the predicate of the conclusion. So this is the conclusion and the predicate is elected PTA president. So this is the major term. Next, the major premise. The major premise affirms the relation between its middle term, delegate, and major terms, elected PTA president. So our major premise is all delegates are elected PTA presidents, which is our first sentence. Next is the minor term. It is the subject term of the conclusion. So our minor term is Mr. Lorenzo Bernardo. And last one is the minor premise. The minor premise links the middle and minor terms. So this is the middle term, delegate. The minor term is Mr. Lorenzo Bernardo. And our minor premise is Mr. Lorenzo Bernardo is a delegate, which is the second sentence of the categorical syllogism. So we are done identifying the major, minor, and the middle terms of these categorical syllogism and also the minor and the major premises. Now, let's discuss about moods and forms of syllogism. A categorical syllogism is presented in standard form, which begins with the major premise, followed by the minor premise, and finally by the conclusion. Logicians devised a simple way of labeling the various forms in which a categorical syllogism may occur by stating its mood and figure. Recall that the mood of a syllogism is simply a statement of which categorical propositions A, E, I, or O it comprises, listed in the order in which they appear in standard form. Thus, a syllogism with a mood of OAO has an O proposition as its major premise and A proposition as its minor premise and another O proposition as its conclusion. And EIO syllogism has an E major premise, an I minor premise, and an O conclusion, etc. Now, there are four distinct versions of each syllogistic mood. However, we need to supplement this labeling system with a statement of the figure of each, which is solely determined by the position in which its middle term appears in the two premises. So take a look at the table below. In the first figure syllogism, the middle term is the subject term of the major premise and the predicate term of the minor premise. In the second figure, the middle term is the predicate term of both premises. In the third figure, the middle term is the subject term of both premises. And in the fourth figure, the middle term appears as the predicate term of the major premise and the subject term of the minor premise. The four distinct syllogistic moods are supplemented by the statement of figure, which is determined by the position of the middle term in the two premises. Let's have examples. Describe the syllogistic structure of each syllogism. So we are given this syllogism, which is all lawyers are bar passers. All bar passers are graduates of Bachelor of Laws. Therefore, all lawyers are graduates of Bachelor of Laws. Now, the first sentence, which is all lawyers are bar passers, is an A proposition because it's universal and it's affirmative. Next, all bar passers are graduates of Bachelor of Laws, still an A proposition. And the last one, therefore all lawyers are graduates of Bachelor of Laws, still an A proposition because it's universal and it's affirmative. Now, let's take a look at the table. Based on the table, this given syllogism follows figure 1. It's because the middle term, which is the bar passers, is the subject term of the major premise and the predicate term of the minor premise. So, the mood of the syllogism is AAA and it follows figure 1, thus it is of the form AA1. Let's have another example. Some soldiers are husbands. Some soldiers are brave. Therefore, some husbands are brave. So first sentence, some soldiers are husbands, is an I proposition because it's particular and affirmative. Next, it's also an I proposition and the last sentence is also an I proposition. Now, based on the table, this syllogism follows figure 3 because the middle term soldiers is the subject term of both premises. So, the mood of the syllogism is I and follows figure 3. Thus, it is of the form I3. Next, example number 3. No participants are students. No workers are students. Therefore, no participants are workers. So first sentence, no participants are student is an E proposition because it's particular, it's universal and negative. Next, no workers are student, also an E proposition because universal and negative. And the last is also an E proposition with the same reason. Now, based on the table, this syllogism follows figure 2 because the middle term students is the predicate term of both premises. So, the mood of the syllogism is EEE and follows figure 2. Thus, it is of the form EE2. Example number 4. Every integer is a rational number. Some decimals are rational numbers. Therefore, some decimals are integers. For the first sentence, it's universal and affirmative, so it's an A proposition. For the second sentence, it's particular and affirmative, so it's an I proposition. And for the last sentence, it's particular and also affirmative, so also an I proposition. Now, based on the table, this syllogism follows figure 2 because the middle term, which is the rational number, is the predicate term of both premises. So, the mood of the syllogism is AII. This is I, sorry for this one, and follows figure 2. Thus, it is of the form AII2. Okay, next example. All administration candidates are peace advocates. Opposition candidates are not administration candidates. Therefore, opposition candidates are not peace advocates. So, first sentence is an A proposition. Second sentence is an E proposition. And the third sentence is also an E proposition. Now, based on the table, this syllogism follows figure 1 because the middle term administration candidates is the subject term of the major premise and the predicate term of the minor premise. Therefore, the mood of the syllogism is AEE and follows figure 1. Thus, it is of the form AEE1. Now for the last example. All scholars are honor students. Alan is not a scholar. Therefore, Alan is not an honor student. So first sentence is an A proposition because it's universal and affirmative. Second sentence is an O proposition because it's particular and negative. And the last sentence, Alan is not an honor student, also an O proposition because it's particular and negative. Now, based on the table, this syllogism follows figure 1 because the middle term scholar is the subject term of the major premise and the predicate term of the minor premise. So, the mood of the syllogism is AOO and follows figure 1. Thus, it is of the form AOO1. Now, let's discuss validity of syllogisms. There are different ways to determine whether a categorical syllogism is valid or not. The first way is by using established valid syllogistic forms. The following 15 valid syllogistic forms can be used as a pattern or criteria of syllogistic validity. So here is the table that we can use to determine if the syllogism is valid or not. Let's have examples. Determine the validity of each syllogism. Number 1. By the way, we will use this table as our reference. Number 1. All lawyers are bar passers. All bar passers are graduates of Bachelor of Laws. Therefore, all lawyers are graduates of Bachelor of Laws. Now, this syllogism is valid because as you can see, this is in the form of AAA1 and AAA1 is in the list of valid syllogistic form. Number 2. Every integer is a rational number. Some decimals are rational numbers. Therefore, some decimals are integers. The mood of this syllogism is AII and the form is AII2. And as you can see in the table, there's no AII2. That means to say this is invalid syllogism. Next, number 3. All administration candidates are peace advocates. Opposition candidates are not administration candidates. Therefore, opposition candidates are not peace advocates. This is in the form of AEE1 and it is not valid because it is not in the list of valid syllogistic form. Last example, all scholars are honor students. Alan is not a scholar. Therefore, Alan is not an honor student. This is in the form of A001, and as you can see, there's no A001 in the table. That means this syllogism is invalid. Now, the second way of identifying the validity of syllogisms is by using Venn diagrams. The modern interpretation offers a more efficient method of evaluating the validity of categorical syllogisms. By combining the drawings of individual propositions, we can use Venn diagrams to assess the validity of categorical syllogisms. Now, here are the steps in validating a syllogism using a Venn diagram. First step is to draw 3 overlapping circles. Label them to represent the major term as P, minor term as S, and middle term as M of the syllogism. Each section in the circle indicates the location of members of a class where they would be, and the sections outside the circle indicate the location of all other individuals. The second step is to mark the sections appropriately. Shading a section indicates that no individual exists in that section. An unshaded section means no information is known about that section. A section marked with an X means at least one or more individuals are in that section. Focus on circles P and M in diagramming the major premise. Focus on circles S and M in diagramming the minor premise. And step 3, determine the validity of each syllogism using the Venn diagram. Focus on circles S and P in determining the validity of the syllogism. If the conclusion is appropriately diagrammed as a result of step 2, then the syllogism is valid. Otherwise, it is invalid. So let's have examples. Here are the diagrams of several other syllogistic forms. In each case, both of the premises have already been drawn in the appropriate way. So if the drawing of the conclusion is already drawn, the syllogism must be valid. And if it is not, the syllogism must be invalid. So let's have the first example. This example is in the form AA1, and it states here that this is a valid syllogism. Let's check. Okay, the first sentence, which is the first proposition, is all M are P. So this is the M circle and this is the P circle. Since it states here that all M are P, this part of M is shaded. And again, shaded means there's no individual exists in this part because all M are P. Next proposition is all S are M. This is the S circle and it states here that all S are M, so we shade this part of S. And the conclusion. Okay, take note of this. There's no need for you to diagram the conclusion. What you need to do is to check if the conclusion has already been diagrammed. If yes, that means it is valid. If not, that means invalid. Now let's check if all S are P. So this is the S circle, this is the P circle. And as you can see, this part of S are in P or RP. So meaning, this is a valid syllogism. Another example, EIO3, which is also a valid syllogism. So let's check. No M are P. This is the M circle and this is the P circle. We shade this part since no M are P. And again, shaded region means there's no individual exists in that part. Next, some M are S. This is the M circle and this is the S circle. And since there are some M are S, so we use the X mark. So part of M are S. Now for the conclusion, we need to check if it has already been diagrammed. Some S are not P, so S circle and the P circle. And because there's an X mark in S that is not in P, it supports the conclusion that there are some S that are not in P. Now for the third example, This is in the form of OAO3 and it is also a valid syllogism. So some M are not P. This is the M circle and the P circle. So we put an X mark in M that is not in P. Next, all M are S. M circle and S circle. And as you can see, all M, this part, are S. And for the conclusion, therefore some S are not P. It is shown in the diagram that there is a part of S which is shown by the X mark that is not part of P. Now let's have some examples of invalid syllogisms. So first, we have in the form EOO2, which is invalid. Why? Okay, let's analyze. No P or M. This is the P circle and this is the M circle. So the area here will be shaded. Next, some S are not M. This is the S circle and this is the M circle. So put an X mark in S and not in M because there are some S are not M. Next, therefore, some S are not P. Now, let's try to check after diagramming these two premises if the conclusion has already been diagrammed also. So this is the S circle and this is the P circle, and as you can see, it has not been diagrammed. So meaning this is an invalid syllogism. Next, IOO1. This is invalid because some M are P. So this is the M circle and this is the P circle. So this is the X mark because some M are P. Next, some S are not M. This is the S circle and this is the M circle, and as you can see, we mark a part of S that are not in M. Therefore, some S are not P. So some S are not P. This X mark here that is also a part of P does not support the conclusion that there are some S that are not in P. So this is invalid. Next is in the form of AAA3. So first, all M are P. So this is the M circle, this is the P circle, so this one or this part is shaded. Next, all M are S. All M are S. So this part will also be shaded. And let's check the conclusion. Therefore, all S are P. All S are P. And as you can see, it is not shown here that all S are P, so this is invalid. Now, let's have specific examples. So we are given this syllogism. Some mice are not pregnant creatures. All mice are soft creatures. Therefore, some soft creatures are not pregnant creatures. So first step is to rewrite this one using the symbols of the terms. So mice here is our middle term, so this will become some M are not P, the major term. Next, all mice are soft creatures, so this is all M are S. Therefore, some soft creatures are not pregnant creatures, so some S are not P. Okay, now let's diagram this argument or this syllogism. So first, some M are not P. So this means that there are some part of M, this is the M circle, that are not in P. So we have here the X mark. Next, all M are S. This is the M circle and this is the S circle. That's why this part is shaded because all M are in S. Therefore, some S are not P. We will not diagram the conclusion. What we need to do is to check if it has been diagrammed already. And if yes, that means this argument is valid. So let's check. Some S are not P. This is the S circle and this is the P circle. And as you can see, there are some part of the S circle, this one, that are not in P. So OAO3 is a valid syllogism. Another specific example. This is the given syllogism, and it is, no pink creatures are mice. Some soft creatures are not mice. Therefore, some soft creatures are not pink. First, let's rewrite this one using the symbols. So, no pink creatures are mice. This is no P is M because this is the major term and this is the middle term. Next, some soft creatures are not mice. Soft creatures is the minor term and mice is the middle term, so this is some S are not M. Therefore, some soft creatures are not pink. So, therefore, some S are not P. Now, let's try to diagram this syllogism. So first, no P is M. This is the P circle and this is the M circle. So the shaded area will be in the middle because no P is M. Next, some S are not M. This is the S circle and this is the M circle. So there is a part of S that are not in M, but we don't know where. The X mark can be put here. Therefore, some S are not P. So let's check if the conclusion has been diagrammed already. This is the S circle and this is the P circle. And we all know that this X mark here means that there are some S that are not in M. But we don't know, or it's not clear here, that there are some part of S that are not in P. That's why this diagram and this syllogism is invalid. That's all for this video, math learners. Always remember, the only way to learn mathematics is to do mathematics.